Big Ron Shaw here, the Earl of Upsets, telling you to watch my friends, Monte and the Pharaoh, on Long Island's #1 wrestling podcast show, and soon to be the world's #1 wrestling podcast show. That is going to be a big upset.
We're visiting Pharaoh's here after last night's Super ECW tribute show.
Deluxe.
Pharaoh's looking good though as he gets older. He can handle his liquor a little better, right? But we'll be flowing around. Hopefully, get to see a few people. We'll be posting these videos. So we'll talk to you soon.
I don't care if they talk shit. I don't talk to hypocrites. If you hate me, that's just fine. Go on down and get in line. They try to tell me what I need, and it sure ain't nothing good for me. Don't care what they say, it's all just talk. Gonna head my way and walk my walk. They try to bend me, but I won't break. I pay no mind to the noise they make. I keep my head, I hold my ground. Ain't no man gonna knock me down. They can swing, but I won't flinch. I was built for times like this, so talk your shit, but be aware. I don't care.
All right, welcome back to the Howard Stern of Pro Wrestling. Monte The Pharaoh. We're Pharaoh-less tonight. Jimmy's out working. We miss him. He'll be back next Thursday. But we've got our special guest, Miss Shelly Martinez. How are you, my friend?
Oh my gosh, I've been crying all day.
Why?
Dude, for the first time ever, and this is like early this morning, I watched the movie Up. Have you ever seen it?
I have with DiCaprio on Netflix. Up in the Air. All right, wait a minute. What is Up? Maybe I
The
got the wrong movie.
Pixar film.
Oh, was that a cartoon?
Yeah, the Pixar film.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I don't watch cartoons, but hey, go ahead.
Okay, so I watched it because here's the thing. I remember when it was new. It was in 2000. I think it was 9 when I looked it up. I remember the story seemed interesting, right? And so I just never got around to seeing it. I saw that it was on. I was like, you know what? I never seen this before. Dude, I was not ready for it. I cried so hard through first of all, the beginning is rough.
What is
I can't even talk.
All right, just tell me about.
Okay.
Because now you're going to make me watch it. So,
Okay.
what's the beginning? What's the premise of Up?
Okay, so in the movie Up, there's these two kids that meet, right? And they're both kind of like awkward. They love kind of like adventure and da da da. And so they bump into each other, and then it's a boy and a girl. And then they become friends, and it's real quick. It's like this because it's like first 10 minutes in the movie I'm about to tell you. So then there's like this montage of like their like how they grow as friends, right? Well, they end up getting married, and then like they show them like looking up at the clouds and when they're like young adults, and then they start to see like little babies. So then like the next scene is them painting a nursery, but then the next scene they're at the hospital and she didn't have the baby. So then I'm like, okay, but then it goes on and you see them build this life. They get old together. And then she dies. And when they were little kids and they met, they had this book. It was called The Adventure Book. And when she was in the hospital, she gives the husband back the adventure book so he can go on his own adventure. And the rest of the movie is about him trying to make a promise he made to her happen. So that's the movie.
I just, you know what? Now, I just can't. You're still a young lady. I'm getting on in age. Both me and Jimmy are getting on in age. He hates when I talk about this, but it's like when you think about your mortality at some point, it's like, where did it all go? And it's Shelly, it's hitting me personally. Like now, it's like, where is all this time going by? And then you lose your loved ones, and wow.
That's what I'm saying, dude. This movie, and of course, what was I thinking about? Freaking Metal Jesus. And I'm like, because at first when they were showing the montage, I was like, oh my gosh, I cried out of joy because I was like, that's like me and Metal Jesus. Because
Mm,
the boy character is kind of like quiet and shy and hesitant, but she's like full of life. It's like totally. So to me, I'm like, oh, that's like Metal Jesus. And I'm like crazy Shelly. And so it's like a lot of people when they see us together, strangers or people who know us have told us throughout the years, like, you guys, it makes sense. Like, what he is, you aren't, and what you aren't, he is. Like, it's like we're yin and
mm.
yang. It's this whole crazy thing, right? And so it hit me like that. I was like, oh, like, and so I'm like joyful, like, oh, but then like when it starts to go, and then she was the one that was full of life, the one that brought him out of his shell and got him out there to do what he was always afraid to do.
Mm.
And she passes first.
Mm.
I'm sorry. I'm telling you, dude. And so, because here's the thing,
Glad I'm wearing sunglasses, right?
I'm pretty sure I talked about this on your show before. I have a death anxiety since I was a kid. And so I'm very aware, and like it sucks. It's a double-edged sword because at first today when I watched the movie, that I was thinking of Metal Jesus. So there's that, right? But then I started thinking about like these people in my family I have grievances with right now, and it's like gnarly grievances, and it's been going on for a couple years, and it's really affected me and my whole being. And so it made me think of them. It's like, what if they died today? And then
Mm.
and it's crazy because I've always been this way. And it kind of gets me in trouble in a way sometimes because then when I start thinking like, what if this person would just die? So like whatever I'm mad at them about, it kind of doesn't even matter. Like, and then so I'll kind of let them come back into my life, and that always screws me over. So like now what I'm trying to practice is being able to still show love and kindness, but still have boundaries. And so it's really difficult to do that, especially in my crazy mind where like I'm so traumatized about death in general that that F's me up. So I went through the whole motions of the metal Jesus part. But then what's been sitting with me the hardest is my family wounds because it is what it is. And so it's just, oh, that's why I've been crying all day.
Can I ask you a question on that though? Like you're a believer in Christ, right?
I believe in the Lord. I grew up in church, the whole 9 yards.
Why does death scare you?
The reason why death scares me is lots of reasons, actually. So, long story short as I can make it, I mean, we can get into it if you want to. I've talked about this a lot online. I grew up in a Christian church, but in my 30s, that's when I was very drawn to Judaism. And so it made sense. It aligned totally organically where I found a congregation that is kind of, in short, Jews for Jesus. So they incorporate the Jewish traditions, the Jewish beliefs, but they also believe that Jesus Christ is, the Son of God. So that's the congregation I've been going to this day. It's a little hard for me now because the rabbi died a lot while ago, so it's changed, but whatever. So the point is in that journey, I started to think to myself, what if, okay, we're going to get deep. Are you ready to get deep?
Let's get deep.
Let's deep. Okay.
Listen, we got a lot to hit. So we got
Okay.
plenty of good
Let's get
stuff.
deep.
Let's get deep. Go.
Okay. So I started thinking to myself, well, shoot. I know it says in the Bible, only through me should you go before your Father, that Jesus says that, right? And that's the whole thing of being a Christian and accepting Jesus Christ as your savior. And I've been on board the whole time. But it's interesting because then I started thinking, but what does that really mean? Does it like mean what we think it means? Because here's my big fear about death. I don't want to go to hell. I do not want to go to hell. And if some people say there is no hell, well, just in case there is, I don't want to go there. I am so deathly afraid because I grew up in a church that was very fear-based. So I have a lot of trauma with even how to deal with sin and accepting my own sins, right? I had to learn the hard way. So I have this like Christian guilt of I don't want to go to hell. And so when I started thinking, like, you know what? I don't think there's anything wrong with just praying straight to God, because I don't think he'll punish me for that. And even though I think that and feel that, I still pray. I'm like, Lord, I am so sorry if I'm messing up and I'm not doing this right, because I fear God. I fear God. However, going with the deep part, a thought came to me is, what if Jesus said that? Because let's go back to Adam and Eve. So God gave Adam and Eve free will, and then they sinned. That's how the story goes, right?
Mhm.
So what if God was like, I don't understand how they would like go against what I said. This doesn't make sense. So what if he thought the only way I'll be able to understand mankind is I have to go and experience it myself? So our bodies are vessels, and our vessels all have a soul. So what if God was like, I'm going to put part of my essence, part of my soul, part of it, because he's God, not the whole, but part of it in this body. So that vessel, I can feel what these humans are feeling, what my creation's feeling. I can finally feel what they feel and what they go through and this and that. So what if that's what Jesus is? So that's why he was like, only through me should you go before the Father. What if it was trying to tell the tale of that connection? And because I feel like sometimes, no offense, some Christians lose sight of God and focus just on Jesus. And that was my whole struggle, was like, and then to say, oh, it's one and the same, but it's like, but why so much why can't it just be one? And it is all one. I know I know people don't come for me. I get it. I'm just saying, like, being that it's all one, the Father, Son, Holy Spirit, it's all one. I started to feel like I just in case, because I don't want to go to hell. I don't want to upset God. I don't want to disrespect him. I'm just going to pray to God. And there's times where by default I want to like pray to Jesus, and then I go through this whole, it's a battle I have, and it's not a bad battle. It's just I am so scared of being wrong, because going back to your question about death, I don't want to go to hell. I don't want to get in trouble with God. So that's the first reason. Secondly, my sister and I are 9 years apart. And when she was born, it was in a chaotic situation for my mom. My dad had split. So I really had to end my childhood there in a lot of ways and take care of my sister, which is fine. And up until like last year, she's lived with me. So I've taken care of her. I mean, there was times, of course, when we wasn't living here, whatever, technicalities. In case any of my family's watching this and they want to like, well, actually, well, there. I'm just saying her adult life, she's been with me. Her childhood, I was always babysitting her. She was always with me. So one of my fears is I didn't want to ever be disconnected from her. And then there was a time during, like, when was this time? Oh, it was during my TNA days. I died. And when I died, it's the whole thing that they say. Like, it was like this bluish hue room. I was gravitating up. There was this light. I know it's cliche, but that's what happened. And I felt this sense of like that euphoria, they say. I felt so much love, and all I could hear is my breathing and my own thoughts. I wasn't Shelly. I was part of the essence, the one with God. And then I didn't hear, but like your brain translated it to hearing, but it was all feeling, all energy, that God said, go up or go back. And I looked down and I saw this girl, and she would look lifeless, and I felt so sorry for her. And there was this guy shaking her, and I was like, oh my gosh, I feel so sorry for this girl. I have to go back for this girl. So I chose to come back. Well, that girl was me. So all of a sudden, when I made the choice to come back, I went, and then the guy that I was with was like, oh my gosh, your skin turned gray. Oh my gosh, blah, blah, blah. And so my fear happened, dude. Death. And not once did I think about my sister during that part. And that scared the shit out of me. So what if she doesn't exist then? So those are the two main fears that I have about the death, is And then earlier I was telling Metal Jesus that I watched Up and I had a meltdown. I was like, I don't ever want to be apart from you. And that freaks me out. Watching that old man lose that wife that brought him to life, brought a part of him out that he didn't think he had because he was always so shy and scared. And even though through the movie, she's there, but like, so that's why, dude.
It's some good deep stuff, man.
It's deep.
It's deep. Hard question. Then I got to ask you this: when someone, I don't know, I'll just throw out. Let's go with Jeffrey Dahmer because it's easiest for me for my old brain. When Jeffrey Dahmer, after all the things he does, and then he finds Christ and then asks forgiveness, does Christ forgive him and bring him up to heaven?
I don't know how that works, man. I don't. And I think about those types of things. Why? Because my dad and my grandpa were, I don't want to say the wrong word and get in trouble here on the stream.
You say the words, whatever. Say whatever you want.
Pedophiles.
Okay. That's what it is.
So it's crazy because in my family, for me speaking up about it, I'm the asshole for some reason. And I'm often told, you got to let it go. Now, both are passed and they've been passed for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
So they all tell me, you got to let it go. You got to let the Lord deal with them. Da, 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 da. And I remember one time I told a family member, I said, dude, do you think Grandpa's in hell? Like for everything he's done? And they're like, well, he gave himself to the Lord. And I said, yeah, but like based on what I was taught in the church and the things he was doing, even though he was still a Christian doing these things, you go to hell. So now you don't think he goes to hell? So it's this whole thing that I've struggled with in my own personal life of, are they in hell? Because the things they were doing were sinful to the highest degree, one of the highest degrees. So I don't know. And then it's crazy because the same people that tell me, don't do this, don't do that, you'll go to hell, and I'm effed up in the head about it, are the same ones that say, well, they gave themselves to the Lord. I remember when I came out about my grandpa, the first thing that was told to me when I said something to a family member, they stopped making eye contact with me and said, I thought he stopped doing that after he became a Christian. No, he did not. P.S. No, he did not. So by your rules that this whole family has had, which one is it? And that's probably why I am the way I am, where I always have to speak up and da 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 da, because I grew up in a family where they already were showing me the hypocrisy. So I don't know. And it's confusing.
My pastor told me that as human beings, we look at sins differently, right? Like pedophile is a 10. You know, having premarital sex is a 4. Having extramarital sex is a 7. You know what I mean?
Right.
And in God's eyes or in Christ's eyes, as long as you're asking forgiveness, and it's hard for us as humans to absorb that, right? It's like,
yes,
hey, you know what? Yeah, I cheated on my wife, right? Okay, that's a 3. That's nowhere near eating people. You know what I mean?
Right,
How could that be the case? But he says, as long as that you truly want to be forgiven, as much as you can't conceive it, if you really want to be forgiven for your sins and you really realize that you did something wrong, you know, then you're forgiven. And I'm on the same boat with you. It's like, you know, it's hard for me to, yeah, it's hard. It's hard.
Because you know what? And that's why we're not God and we don't judge. We're not the judgers here because we can't comprehend it. We can't. It's beyond us. We can only go where we can go. And that's just it. But it's very controversial because it's almost like it's just hard. It's hard. It's hard on the soul. And I wish I can be somebody that can just be like, oh, just let the Lord deal with it. And oh, blah, blah, blah. And it's true. It's not my business, I guess, but it's like, I guess like in my situation with my dad and my grandpa, to this day, I still am effed up over those things. So it hits me harder of, well, which one is it then? And it makes it personal, you know? Ugh, it's so hard, dude. It's so freaking hard.
John Christopher says he died twice. He was was a bodyguard for, remember Rock of Love on VH1?
Yes, of
He
course,
was on our
duh.
show. Very cool guy, man. Unbelievable lifestyle, by the way. Unbelievable lifestyle. All right, listen. Are we going to go? By the way, great conversation. I do want to say something before we get going here. So we met Shelly. Jimmy and I met Shelly. I don't know, middle of last year. She came on the show. She was fantastic, and we've built a relationship. And Shelly actually brought Vampire Radio onto the Monte The Pharaoh channel, which is fantastic. And she also started a new podcast with her partner producer Chad, which is another fantastic show. Go to the Shelly Martinez YouTube page, like, subscribe, the whole spiel. But I tell Shelly this as often. I don't speak to Shelly tons, but when we do speak, I try to tell Shelly that this lady that's on my left, your right, matters what you're looking at, is a true talent, right? And she has these qualities, the way she speaks and the way she can discuss all types of subject. I am very impressed by you. I have been for a very long, and I tell you that, right? And your honesty. And I really feel like, and I'm going to say it here because when it finally happens, I'm going to say, and Jimmy believes this too, by the way. If he was here, he'd say the same thing because we talk about it. Shelly will be the next big social media star, right? She's there. And I just want to say that to you. Just keep pushing because you've got it. You've got it.
I will accept that energy fully. It just means so much to me. So thank you for giving me that energy. You and Jimmy both.
All right. Are we going light or are we just coming out of the gate? Which way do you want to go? I got
just out of the gate.
two ways. You want to go out of the gate. All right. Well, you asked for it. Now you're going to get it. All right. This is the only problem. I've got to change out of my gimmick because, like I said, I cannot produce and sit with sunglasses on. So the rest of the way, I'm going with glasses. All right. You ready?
Let's do it.
Did I grab the right thing? If I put the wrong one up, don't get mad at me.
He's an incredible athlete. He's a little bit too fucking Mr. Bojangles for me.
So Kevin Nash on Click This, Sean Oliver podcast, he was kind of raked over the coals for that comment. I'm interested to get your feel on that particular situation.
What was that?
So there's a wrestler out there, right? He's a Javon Evans, right? A young kid. He's really great wrestler, great job. And Sean Oliver, they had brought him up, and Kevin Nash said, "Hey, look, I like the kid. He's very good, but he's a little bit Mr. Bojangles, right? So Mr. Bojangles, right? It's kind of, honestly, I don't really think it's a big deal, but of course, social media turned it into a whole racist situation. And I wanted to ask you, not really about what Kevin Nash said, but are we out of control as a society that, like, anything you say, if you're on the right, you're looking for someone on the left to rip apart and back and forth? What do you think about that?
Yeah, exactly. It is that way, and it sucks. I guess a positive would be some people can be more self-aware nowadays, and that's good. But here's the thing. I just feel we live in this day and age where people go into reading people's posts, see whatever people's content is, whether it's a post, whether it's a video, whatever, picture, whatever, podcast. 9 times out of 10, this is the problem. People go into seeing said content with a certain mind frame already, right? So it doesn't matter what someone would say if it doesn't align with what they believe or what they think is right, automatically this like switch goes off, which is really weird. And I think that's where like social media has landed us at, where people go from, instead of being like, okay, well, that's a different way of thinking of it, or I guess I didn't think of it that way, or okay, maybe I was wrong. People don't want to be wrong. So
Right.
instead of being wrong, or maybe saying, okay, I don't agree, but okay, I guess I see where they're coming from, they attack and they misquote. They miss the whole point altogether of whatever somebody was trying to say a lot of times. And it's crazy to me. And then here's the other thing, when you come with like people that have a platform or they're celebrities or things like that in on social media and they got a huge audience, whatever, I feel like people get so up in arms, and I've talked about this. I feel almost every time I've done your show, they go into it like, if sorry, I'm trying to think of how to say this right. Like the way they get into it is like when they I say I don't want to make people mad, and I'm trying to stifle myself, and it's throwing me off. I'm just gonna say it, okay?
Yeah,
Don't
yeah.
come for me, that's fine, okay? But here's my disposition is I think it sucks that people, because of how social media is, and there's people that will say something like a Kevin Nash or a Vince McMahon or enter whoever, right? People can get all riled up and they're fighting. Trump is another one, like fighting and this and that, going against each other, using up all this energy, right? And then give it enough time, it dies down and they're on to something else. So it then, to me, being a person that can see patterns, it's like people are just constantly chasing a dopamine hit, even more so when that dopamine hit is being negative or I'm right and you're wrong and da 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 da. And to me, man, I like a nice dopamine hit to be like make me feel good and chill or creative or inspired or excited, not angry. I don't relate to that. And so seeing that that is like the norm now makes me want to puke, because things now like the Kevin Nash thing, people can get mad and fight over it. Give it time. Some people will still be like whatever, but I guarantee you if they have a chance, they'll still put money in his pocket. And like
Yeah, you're
that's the
right.
thing.
You're
Or
right.
wanna take a picture. Like, when people are like, "Oh, I hate, Kevin Nash or Vince McMahon," or I'm trying to think of very hateable people, or Trump. If they have an opportunity to be in a room with them, even if they know, especially if they know with, like, a wrestling situation where you can get a picture with them, they
Mhm.
would. They would. And they wouldn't say, "F you, I'm not shaking your hand." They wouldn't. And so, generally speaking, I'm not saying everyone, not only is it a problem, but they're so hypocritical and two-faced about it. So what does it even mean to get mad?
Well, so here comes a tougher question, right? So Nash says this, right? Did I take offense to it? No. Well, again, whatever people take offense to, but um, a lot of people, to be honest with you, Shelly, I don't even know if Mr. Bojangles was even black. To be honest with you, I have to actually look that up. But I guess I was thinking to myself, though. Again, we've discussed when you've been on the past. We've talked about Hulk Hogan and God rest his soul. What a huge fan Jimmy and I were of him. But one of his haters was Mark Henry, right? Who, not hater, but was very vocal on Hulk really apologizing for everything. And until then, he could never forgive him, yada, yada, yada. And then I felt like when Kevin Nash said this, whether you think it's better, I felt like, I felt like Henry didn't, like, you didn't hear from him, right? Because Nash is relevant and he's on Busted Open Radio and he's got to keep his mouth shut. And I just feel like everybody's got an agenda. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's like you crucified Hogan for 5 years, and here's Kevin Nash who makes a mistake, or even if it's a mistake, I don't even think. And what is your feeling about that? I'm not asking you to attack Mark Henry, but what is the deal with this agenda-driven society, especially in wrestling too.
Well, maybe you never know. Maybe there's just more of a personal attachment situation with Hogan. You know what I mean? So maybe it can be as simple as that. Like I know that there's like, for example, I can the way reason why I look at it through that lens is there's people in wrestling who I really just don't like because of the things that they've done to me personally, right? And so if there's somebody who I didn't have that bad experience with and they're kind of displaying crappy behavior of the person over here that like I just do not like, yeah, maybe I'm not going to go in on that person hard or even bring it up because like that's not my fight. But my fight is over here because if something got brought up that I agreed on and I'm going to speak out on about because I know how that mother effer is over here, then yeah. And so maybe that does go back to agenda, like a personal agenda, but maybe that could be what it is like that's a way to feel at least you're finally getting some kind of justice out of a situation, even if it comes off bitter. Cause I've been there. I've been there, and people to this day will be like, oh, Shelly's bitter because they've seen some content of me talking about somebody I don't like for a good reason.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and then too, with like, you never know how deep it goes because we just know what Mark Henry has said publicly. Maybe there's other stories, just like there's people I don't like, and I'll say stories that people are like, "Oh, that's nothing," but I'm thinking, "Yeah, but you don't know the real reason, and you're not allowed to know because it's none of your business, and I'm not going to go there." So you just never know what's going on behind the scenes, and maybe Mark Henry has like I'm not sure because I don't know Mark Henry that well, and I don't know Kevin Nash that well. I've shared locker rooms with them; both were really nice. That's all I got to say about them, but maybe he's their friends or friendly, so, like, maybe that's why he knows, "Oh, Nash isn't that way," or maybe he's like, "Well, that sucks Nash said that, but, like, whatever." I don't know, I just feel maybe that's what it is just, is it worth it or is it not? And then when you bring up something like, well, maybe it has to do with he's, like, on Busted Open, maybe it does, and maybe that's why it's not worth it for him to chime in because it's gonna be this big old topic that maybe he doesn't wanna go through again or something. You just never know, you know?
I just
Wrestling's
felt
complicated.
I just felt like, look, some things are very personal, and look, I'm not a black man. We know what black people have gone through in the United States for forever, and I could understand his angst and problems over certain situations like what Hogan did, right? And I just feel like, okay, wouldn't this be the same type of situation? But I think you explained it well, right? Maybe he knows Nash on a certain level where he knew Hogan on this level, and he felt Nash wasn't that guy, but he felt Hogan was. I mean, it's a great answer. Um, you have hit the dirt sheets with your comments on Janelle Grant, uh, and it's but we're going to talk about podcasts before we get to Janelle Grant. We're going to talk about podcasters. So Hannibal, who I think I introduced you to on his recent one of his videos, was talking very highly of you because of your comments about Janelle Grant, and was making the play to get the great Shelly Martinez on there. And I sent Shelly and I said, please never go on this fucking guy's show because I hate him. But then we caught another podcast, which is The Masters of Wrestling with Master Emir, right? And they had some really tough stuff to say about you, and I wanted to get your feelings on this. He spoke about that it's a show of God, right? He's the master, by the way. He's the master. So when you come on, you speak to the master, and for the low price of $40, he'll teach you how to speak properly. He is Master Emir, and that this podcast is about wrestling, but it's also about believers in Christ. And he always thought about having you on because he was always told that you're a believer in Christ, which we've covered earlier. I won't get too long-winded on this, but basically, since he spoke to his wife, considering all the atrocities that you have done, Shelly, in your life, he would no longer have you on. And what your comments about Janelle Grant, considering what you've done in your life, you should really shut your mouth, for lack of a better term. It's all yours, young lady. Go ahead.
You know, I watched the video when you sent it to me. And
And by the way, I hope I said it right. I don't think I added too much. I might have used different
No.
words, right? Okay, good.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And when I watched it, first of all, like I was already prepared for people to that's not the Rico wasn't the other guy though.
No, but you
Okay.
know what? You know what? I don't watch the show, and I laugh at a guy that wears a tank top trying to show off his deltoids. I mean, either he's multi-rich or he found a sugar mom. I don't know which one, because the guy's on YouTube all day long, every day. I'm like, do you work, dude? But go ahead, Shelly. I don't know.
Well, because I love Rico, so I just wanted to make it clear
Yeah,
that
okay,
Rico was not
that's
part
fine.
of that because I
That's
think
fine.
Rico's freaking awesome.
Okay,
Shout out
good.
to Rico. So when I watched it, I'm already prepared for people to say negative things about me because of what I said about Janelle Grant. I was fine with that, or else I wouldn't have said anything. Like I already know the repercussions. Now, let's put a pin on this video real quick. It kind of ties in. What's interesting is when people are trying to like quote unquote attack me for what I've said. One of the things that was being like said like to me on like online and stuff was, oh, what, she'll be at the next Royal Rumble. Oh, what, she's kissing Vince's ass because she wants to get him back and da-da-da. And it's like, bitch, I retired in 2017. And this guy, the master, and his wife, if they were doing research on me, one of the things that you would see is that I've been very transparent about my journey. And one of the things that I said was when I thought right before, what made me realize I wanted to retire from wrestling was, first of all, I already had it with the business. I was pissed. All kinds of drama was going on, blah, blah, blah. Then when Balls Mahoney and China died, that's when I was done. Because I saw how fake and phony some people that made their life difficult, cost them money, cost them work, were being. So I was like, look, I told myself, the only way this is worth still doing professional wrestling is if you go try to get back in WWE. Do you want to go back there? No. Okay, then it's time to retire. And I always said I'd only come out of retirement for Lucha Underground and WoW. So it was something very, it wasn't on a whim. It was something I put a lot of thought into. So first of all, there's that. Secondly, I'm old. And I know some people could say, oh, look at Trish and this and that. Well, guess what? You remember when I was in ECW and I told Francine, you'll be old, fat, pregnant, and you'll never have a man like Kevin Thorne. Well, that's literally me. I'm not pregnant, but I got fat, old, and I never went higher on the card as far as like my wrestling career than managed the spot I had with Kevin, right? So it was really giving me my own future. So no, dude, like I know I look good, but I am not TV ready. So no, like I've talked about this on your show. Like I weigh now the weight that Johnny Ace told me I need to lose like weight. So like, no, you're out of your minds, people. If you think I'm trying to get my job back at WWE, it's hilarious. And secondly, the reason why I have been so open and transparent more than ever, because I've always been this bitch, is because I retired from wrestling. I have nothing to lose because I'm not trying to get booked. So when I'm chiming in online with different things, that's why, because I feel comfortable and safe to say things because I'm not trying to get a job with anyone. I'm not schmoozing with these people. I'm just telling my experiences. So going back to the master and his wife. So they said that they did research on me. So for about a little over a year now, I've been doing different podcasts, including my own, where I have been sharing so much of my journey in the sense of realizing I didn't get fired because of just the Batista thing. That was the last nail in the coffin. Coming to realizing I have to take accountability for the poor choices I made because I was young and dumb and trying to make a point. So like all the things. And then as far as my shady content goes, look, it says failed OnlyFans model. I laugh at that and I always have that as my title because I am, because I wasn't willing to go that extra mile to make the real money. And so I got bitter about that. So he was right about that. I got bitter about that because I thought OnlyFans was supposed to be all about women empowerment. You do it on your own terms. And it's true. But there comes some terms with that if you're going to make the real money. And that wasn't me, babe. That wasn't me. So, anyways, I have talked in the last few weeks on TMI specifically about how I live in shaming myself for certain things that I've done for money, because my whole thing was, well, at least it's not naked or topless. So, like, if I'm giving myself a wedgie for this dude that's paying me this money to do it, oh, who cares? I used to think it was whatever. But then I started realizing, dude, this guy's jacking off to me giving myself a wedgie. I don't like that. Like this is getting weird. Like I started, and so when my friends who do a little bit more risque things, they'd be like, Shelly, you barely even do anything. Why do you feel guilty? And I'm like, because like I'm too sensitive for this work. I'm too sensitive because I just think about it. I can't switch it off. So before wrestling, I was in wrestling for 17 years. So before wrestling, I was doing modeling and acting. So I was already in that world. And so that was like the only thing I knew how to do. And then going back to my gross grandpa and dad, dude, they groomed me since I was a little girl. You pay Shelly money. That's where it started. So it's deep. It's part of my effed upness. Okay. So that's why the shame level is there. And it's something that I have to deal with. And the reason why I decided a few weeks ago to finally talk about it is because I want other gals and fellas out there, if there's some, that are doing that same kind of work, because it's so oversaturated and everyone thinks it's just the easy way to make money. So if they start feeling these things and they can relate, that they know they're not alone, because I've been doing OnlyFans before OnlyFans was the OnlyFans, before the internet was the internet. So that, in saying all of that, if you look me up to do research, a lot of stuff pops up about me saying how I was wrong about things, about feeling bad about myself for doing things that I wish I didn't, about my spirituality, about how I never have not known God to be in my life. And that's what saved me. My fear from going to hell. That's why I didn't go down the dark rabbit hole and could have become more famous of famous people if I went down that route. But I didn't, because I have discernment. And I always sought first the kingdom of God at the end of the day. My only difference between the master and his wife is their secrets that they have and their things that they're shameful of. They're not out in the public, because that's not for the public to know. I have chosen to put myself out there and to express how I feel about certain things and this and that and the other that I've done, and the regrets, because that's what my path and that's what my purpose is. And I've always known that. One of the things, and people can, master and his wife can go back and look me up and do more dig deeper. I have said even before I was in WWE that I knew I was going to be in WWE. And once it happened, that God was going to use me to glorify him after I was done. And I didn't even know what that meant, because my thing was, I want to be there for like 20 years. But look what ended up happening. My stint was short, and God used me, my story, not only for the masses, but more importantly for the people in those locker rooms, the people that I've shared photo shoots with, people that I've shared on sets with, moments I've had where people have let their guard down and tell me, man, I have never had someone talk to me like this and not make me feel bad about myself. So God has literally used me. And then when I've made quote unquote poor decisions and sins and people that they're judging me with, the master and his wife, like, even though maybe that wasn't the best thing, that was still my purpose and what I was supposed to go through to get to where I'm at now. And God still used me in those moments. And so it really took me back. I could care less what they have to say about me, about the Janel Grant thing. They had their stories mixed up. And by the way, if you look it up, it is so easy to find because I talk about it all the time. I have never hooked up with Dave Bautista. They said, oh, she was romantically involved. That's when I was like, dude, you guys you didn't dig that far, because it's very easy to see how many times. And then the one guy, the master, was like, oh, Kevin Thorne told me himself that she was hard to work with. Well, on Vampire Radio here on the Monte and the Pharaoh YouTube channel, you can go ahead and watch an interview that I did with the vampire Kevin Thorne, and we talked about all of that, master and wife.
Yeah.
All of it. And it's not hard to find. That's the thing. It's not hard to find. It's there. You guys push it out there. I push it out there. My TMI stuff that I've been talking about, this stuff, we push it out there. People are seeing it. So you put it in the search engine. So my gripe with him is all of that I just said. And you want to sit there. It's, in my opinion, he looks like a ball of anger. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong, but he's just like whatever.
It's no doubt some dude that wanted to be a wrestler at some point in his life, and he got all tried to get jacked up on juice, and it was he failed at it, right? So next step, he's gonna try to do this, and
Which
and
is fine.
But again, when you start dropping Christ into your podcast and then judging people when you're wearing a tank top, I mean, vanity is one of the biggest sins if you read the Bible, right? It may be the biggest sin of them all. So it's like, here's this guy preaching about you when he doesn't do his homework and your opinion. And the reality of it is maybe he's upset because he wants you on his podcast. And who knows? I don't know. But, pay Shelly $700 and she'll be on. You'll have her for an hour.
Him saying, okay, so my point is, so while I'm watching all this, and I'm like, dude, this guy just seems like angry. Like, what's the deal? And then when he busted out, well, we wanted her to and she's a follower in Christ. I thought, you're a Christian? Huh. Okay. Interesting. And then I'm like, okay, my bad. Let me hear what he has to say. And then he went on and judged me. And even if he wanted me to come on his podcast, I wouldn't. Not because they talked negatively about me, but because I don't want to be a part of an energy that is trying to spread God's love, but then yet at the same time acting very worldly about judging someone because they're not in alignment of what you think is right. When we were just talking earlier, how we're not God. We can't do it. We don't fathom. We don't know. And isn't that the whole purpose of witnessing to people, is to bring them in? And instead, he could have been like, well, that's weird and didn't make sense. Maybe he doesn't understand it. Then I would have been like, okay, I'll come on your show and I'll explain it. And I would have told him everything I just told you. And then maybe it would have made sense to him. And that's my testimony, AKA what the Lord uses me to help others. And that's what made me want to throw up, is going back to growing up in the church that I did. There was lots of dudes like him, like master and wife. There was a lot of people like that. And my family was always up in the mix at church. So I was always like a fly in the wall and around like the high ups and this and that. And they were all like that. And it's like, and that's what turned a lot of people away from the Lord, because of being experienced, or somebody that just wants to find, like, let's say I was in a dark place and I'm just trying to figure it out. Like when I was mixed up and doing the fetish stuff and like not feeling good about it. Now, if it was that era, what if I was a person that would have been like, that would have made me go worse? You know what I'm saying? And then he's supposed to be over here helping people, bringing people to God, bringing them away from sin. But you're pushing. And I've watched that my whole life. And I'm so grateful for my relationship with God, because I've never blamed him. I've never been a person to be like, why would you do this? Why? I know why, because me, what I'm doing and my choices. That's why we're here. But God never left. And that's what's always saved me every single time. And it's so, it bothers me, people like that, because I know so many people who gave up on God because of people like that. When they just wanted someone to accept them for them, flaws and all. I'm sure master and wife have their flaws. And I'm sure they would hate if their flaws were exposed and people were saying, "Oh, it's not very Christian. Da, 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 I guess not. Da, da, da." And it's not even like a conversation of like it's not understanding of, well, geez, then my wife and I did this thing and wow, we were seeing this like risque stuff. And so it's like, well, are you like which it wasn't that. It was well, that was the vibe. Let me tell you. Like there's dirt. There's no dirt there. When I expose myself and I say like share everything, there's no dirt to dig up. I own up to it. And so that's what my whole problem with Master and his wife and the other dude, the with the accent, I don't know, like he had his facts like wrong about me. And there was even one place like, well, maybe I'm wrong. Yes, you were not correct. And the thing is like I wouldn't even be annoyed with it if there wasn't so much content of me out there that's so easy to find. Go to Shelly Martinez in Google. One of the top things that's going to pop up, shellymartinez.net, my website that I run, that I blog on, that I put my stuff on. There it is. It's very simple. Here on the Monte the Pharaoh channel, on my YouTube channel, on other podcasts that I've done, and their thumbnail is always something about Batista or me having a moment and they're like, look, she had this moment, like whatever. It's there, dude. Master, I thought you were the master. What happened?
Well said. Shelly, I want to be a better person when I'm around you. I got to tell you, because I had a few things to say, like maybe you should get the master dentist to work on his teeth, but we'll move on. Another podcaster, James Romero, you were on there. That was my first introduction to Shelly Martinez before I even knew you. And a kid from England, and I'm not a big fan, but I thought I want to know what you think of James Romero with his short tattoo. Don't die on me, Shelly. Don't die.
Oh my goodness.
You did not know this was all coming, did you?
I didn't. I love it. I was recently talking about him on TMI, but here we go here on the Monte and the Pharaoh channel. So here's the thing about effing James. So what's really hilarious is I don't know what happened, but at some point I started calling him Charles and I kept thinking his name was Charles. So I started referring to him as Charles and I'm like, and it wasn't until Chad was like, his name's James. I was like, oh my gosh, this is not Charles. So Charles over here, James. So my first introduction to him was he did an interview with Francine. And when I watched it, I was like, dude, I love this format. This is so awesome. Being a person that I've been doing broadcasting since 2009, I was like, this is awesome. This is great because this was right before everyone and their mom started doing podcasts. Like a lot of people were doing it, but it wasn't as saturated as it is now, oversaturated. So I was like, yeah, dude, this is great. And so I then started to go through his channel and I was like, these are great interviews. It's really well done. Awesome. And being that I'm a person, one of my jobs, my many jobs I have in life is I'm a video editor. And so like I edit videos for other companies and creators. So when I would see his editing and how he was doing it and I was noticing things that maybe the average viewer wouldn't. Like I knew he was using a really good camera. It wasn't a webcam and this, and this. And so I was inspired by James. I was so inspired that I bossed my way onto his show. And I was like, I want to be on your show. And so we did it. It was a few years ago. And that, I want to say that was the first time I ever talked about, because it was new to me, that Batista wasn't the reason why I got fired. And so I thought it'd be cool to talk about it because I liked his show so much, and I knew I needed to give a story that I hadn't given a million times before, and it was a new revolution, so I thought it'd be cool to kinda tap into, and so I did. So, fast forward, I was still watching his stuff, still supporting, blah, blah, blah. Um, then I fell off just a little bit because my life just got hectic. It's hard to keep up with even Francine's channel. So, and I say that because she's one of my best friends, you know. Um, so then I started getting sent that he interviewed Melina. And so one of the things he asked Melina was what she thought about me thinking that I got fired because of Dave and for sticking up for her. Now, that pissed me off to no end because I literally gave him the first dibs on the story of that was not the case. For all these effing years that I thought that was the case, I was finally realizing that wasn't true. And that was the first seed being planted of it wasn't all at that point. I was like, it wasn't all Dave's fault. Okay. And when Melina, he asked her that, she went like this. No. And when she did that, I felt her pain because it made me feel like when people bring him up to me a gazillion times, and I know they never bring me up to him. So when Melina, she was like, no, that wasn't it. It was this whole thing that happened, da da da. And then she said this other thing. And I thought, that was such a small part of that day. What is she talking about? But whatever. I was more mad at James. So at least I'm grateful that got brought up in the sense of that made me reflect back on what she had said that had happened. And she didn't go into detail, and I'm not going to either. But a situation happened in catering. And then I understood everything differently to where I was able to unravel this wound I've had and understand it more. So I guess there's that. But I thought it was in such poor taste that James misquoted me when, in my opinion, I felt I had I thought I had like this moment, and it was a moment. I did have that moment, and it did plant that seed, that fast forward, because I want to say it was like a couple years ago. I can't remember exactly what year, but it was a while ago. So like since then, like whatever. So it's fine. But I just thought it was a really poor taste. Like, why couldn't he have said, like, I had Shelly on the show and she said that, you know, blah, blah, blah. Like, she thought this. What do you think of it? I guess that wouldn't have made the same thing. So I guess he did what he had to do. But what him having to do what he had to do made me unfollow him, made me not like him. And ever since then, I have been anti James.
Well, we're part of the anti-James group too, so let's keep it together. And to be fair to this kid, he doesn't really write his own stuff, right? He has fans tell him what to write, so you know, whatever.
Shut the F up. Is that true?
Fuck yeah. Listen, there's a lot of guys out there. First of all, I'm still trying to get over that for like 10 minutes you called this guy a mere master. I was just like, we're in a zone where we're saying master, the master and his wife. And when he talks, he goes, and my students, like, soon enough, they'll be drinking the Kool-Aid and all dropping dead while watching his show, either from boredom or from poison. I don't know which one, but all right, let's lighten it up. I got to know what you think about this because this is really the most important part of the show. You ready?
Yes.
About Punch the Monkey?
What?
Punch the Monkey?
No, what is that? What just happened?
It's a baby monkey in I think in a Japanese zoo that got the family just kicked him out, and all the monkeys hate him. So I'm going to show you the video again. So
yeah, let's see it again.
I didn't cut it very good, so obviously I am not a video cutter. So if you had seen my show before you knew me, you'd probably go, I'm not going on that show. All right, here we go. Let's try it again. So they beat up Punch, and now he's become famous. But he has these doll that he carries with him. He's like a social media sensation, and
His
I
little
thought,
heart.
how terrible is that?
That's
Punch the monkey.
life. That's life, dude. That right there, that video, that is life.
That's
That is how it is. Everyone has their own emotional support monkey somewhere that they just turn to. Because that's all they have. Because everyone's an asshole that's just going to try to punk you and beat you down. Ask the master and the wife. They know all about it.
they know all. They'll be picking on Punch the monkey soon too. Look out!
I was the monkey. I was the monkey.
You were the monkey. I got to send you one of those monkeys. All right, I want to get into Janel Grant, but just it's all yours. Janel Grant.
Okay, so here's the thing. Okay, we're going to take this in 2 phases. Okay, phase 1. So, and here's the thing. People getting all bent out of shape online about this, about me saying this. And maybe a little bit of a more nicer way. I said the same damn thing on your guys' show.
Yep.
I've already said this. So this is nothing new. This is nothing new. But anyways, so when the Janel Grant thing first came out, I was very confused on even the details. And maybe I still am. So correct me, bitches, if I am. Master or wife, come across. So, from what I understand, Janel Grant. Okay, I'm going to go about it this way. We're just going to talk. Okay, so I thought that Janel Grant was going after McMahon for some money. And then I thought that he got in trouble because he paid for some of her expenses with company money. Is that right?
Yes, you are right.
Okay. So that's, and then here's the thing. On TMI, I even said, maybe I'm missing something here and I don't know. So for people who've come for me, that are like, oh, she doesn't know what I literally said, maybe I'm missing something. Like literally said it.
there is a list of gifts. I think Chad actually went over.
We went through them all.
There's a list of gifts.
My whole thing is, okay, so this goes back to Master and Wife, on that video. So Master, when he was talking to the dude with the accent, they were both saying that I didn't know what I was talking about, that I should have watched the whole thing, which I did. And they were saying that she got, now this is them. They didn't even get the details on me, right? So I don't know what to believe. So they said something to the effect of that she had a full-on other new job and that she was just living her new life Vince-free. And that she got summons saying, you have to go along with this and we don't care if you do, this is what's coming out, whatever. And that she's not even going after Vince. So is any of that right?
I heard them say that it doesn't even make sense. Okay, there's a court case. She has lawyers. I mean, I don't know, like, who forces you to break, an agreement like that, right? So no, I don't think they're right. And honestly, I think in her conversation, she said that this whole thing has affected her personal life. So,
because here's the thing, when I was watching her speech, I was unclear still of what the legal issue is, because when she was saying, because I remember her saying, I can't remember the exact verbiage she used, but she said something to the effect of like, kind of like what those dudes were saying. Like she was just kind of like da about her life. And then she was contacted. And then before she can give an answer. So see, Master and Wife and Guy with Accent, I did watch the whole thing.
By the way,
So
I could play the video, but it's not worth it. But go ahead.
it's not worth it. It'll just make me mad too and take up too much time.
Yeah, it's a
So,
waste.
when she was saying like, "Oh, I before I can give the answer," I believe it was to the FBI. Don't quote me on that. I think that's what it was. Because I only watched it once. Um, that she didn't even give her reply, and they made the reply for her. So that's what made me feel for a second. Okay, I'm on board with Janelle Grant here. Like maybe there is more to this than just whatever, right? But then the more she went on, the more, and here's the thing. We started the whole show of me crying, talking about I'm a sensitive ass bitch. I feel, I'm empathetic. Absorb other people's energy. It's a curse. I hate it. So I wanted, because I'm a woman, I want to be on the woman's side always. But the woman's not always right. And for me, I take it extra personal. And I think that's why with the Janelle Grant thing, it makes me more riled up because I always want to be on the woman's side. And so if I see the woman kind of being shady or not um, telling the full truth or whatever, have some agenda, I hate it. And so these people that are like trying to come at me, it's like, dude, you don't even know I want to be on her side. But everything that came out of her mouth, it just rubbed me wrong. And the way, and I could be wrong. So correct me, people, if I am. If the way it came off to me is she wanted to continue this transaction relationship that she had with McMahon. It was no longer. So now we're into some legal stuff. And the reason why is because I live in town. What's in town? The entertainment capital. I live here in Hollywood, Los Angeles area. I know these types of situations. They happen all the time. And sadly, a lot of times the woman can make a situation like this happen, right? So where I was coming from was Janelle Grant had a choice. Earlier I was talking about what made me not go down the dark rabbit hole like a Janelle Grant is I didn't want to go to hell. My fear of going to hell. So I even talked about on TMI recently before getting signed to to WWE, excuse me. Um I started to think maybe it was never going to happen for me. And so I was like, maybe I'll just be one of these girls that go to Dubai. I know the shady things that happen in Dubai, but you come back, you got your money, you only have to go whatever. And because I live here in town, especially in the early 2000s, like escorting and all that stuff was very known. Like the girls that are famous girls now, that's where they started. Because I come from that era. I know these things. That's how I thought it was a good the Playboy Mansion's another one. Oh, you just got to do this, this, and this. If you're down with that, then yeah. I relate to a Janelle Grant. That was my whole point. I relate to a Janelle Grant because I've had the same temptation to get all the things that I want for a price. And the reason why it got me in my feelings was there's people who are like, oh, what would your best friend Ashley Massaro think that you're taking? Da, 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 da. And it's like, bitch, this is completely different than an Ashley fucking Massaro situation. So sit your ass in the back, bitch. No. That's my point. There's so many women out there, wrestling or not, women out there that do not consent, that all the things, they are victims. And to me, this far, I could be wrong. And I always admit when I'm wrong. She comes off as somebody that is not in that group. And I think it's disgusting that people, I haven't said anything. This is the first time I've ever talked about it. I think it's disgusting that people want to come at me trying to bring Ashley up when this is completely different. So that's why I get in my feelings. Is there's so many stories out there of women who didn't sign up. And they either never come forward because they get silenced and shut up and tossed to the side and lose their jobs or this, that, and the other, whatever the case is. While gals like Janel Grant thrive. And it's hard when you're over here eating dog shit and you see a Janel Grant. Well, I mean, granted, she got shit on.
That's true. That is true.
But that's the trade-off. You see what I'm saying? So the point is like, that's why. So if master and wife and guy with accents like took the time to like realize that's what I was getting at, my whole point. And then when one guy, master, was like, oh, and then she said she hopes that she gets her ass kicked, in the legally, lawfully in the courtroom. And I didn't say that. I said life. I said life. And then I also said, maybe he already did. And that's what all this is. That's what I actually said. So.
Do you think, so I'm a pro Vince McMahon guy, right? I always idolized him, and I don't care what anyone thinks. And again, this is just my personal feelings, but do you think when someone like a Janel Grant, she lived in the same building, she meets him, he showers her with gifts, they make that arrangement, she has no problem with it, and she actually kind of falls in love with the guy. This is hypothetical. I actually think this happened, but I'm going to use this hypothetical thing. She falls in love with him, but then he's a billionaire, right? So he's getting bored, and now he's having his friends joining. And because she loves him so much, now she feels like she has to do it to keep his love and to keep him around. Put the money aside. Do you think in that case it becomes wrong? Because now he's using her love to control him, not just money.
It's such a sticky situation. It's so not black and white. There's so much gray. Here's the thing. At the end of the day, and I said this on TMI, and I'll say it here. I have a hard time believing that Vince ever set this thing up saying, you're going to be my new love of my life. I've fallen in love with you. I'm going to leave Linda. We're going to have this life, or even not even leave Linda, but okay, we're not together, but we'll be together. Like it was, I have a hard time believing it was ever romantic. It was a transaction. And even because here's the thing, if she fell for him through all that, it still is what it is. And I feel from experience, when you think something is deeper than it is, deep down inside it isn't. And that's why you're willing to do things maybe you wouldn't normally do to try to keep this thing. But then after a while, you realize no matter what, it's not going to change. So even if the feelings are there, I'm not saying what's right or wrong. I'm just saying black and white, looking at it, even though there's so much gray, this is a transactional relationship. Period. And what tells me that is when you look at the list, if the gifts and the expenses didn't increase, then maybe that'd be a different story. It's just like, oh, whatever. But that's telling me that she wants to match the ante that's being had over here. He's upping the ante, then she's upping the ante. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, sure. I got to ask you this, and this might be a tough question. You don't have to answer it, but you brought in Ashley Massaro, and I know you were close friends with her. We know what happened overseas, but the more recent conversation is really not recent. About a year ago, where that writer, I think, told the airplane story with Vince McMahon. He had everybody deboard the plane, and he was taking advantage of Ashley. We've talked about Vince McMahon before, and you've pretty much, I think you've said that he wasn't that type of guy. Was that a troubling story to you when you heard that?
I never said he wasn't that type of guy.
Okay.
Here's the thing. I'm not going to talk about Ashley.
Okay, that's fair.
I got my reasons, and here's what I have to say about Ashley Massaro. She was my friend. She wasn't perfect. I love her. And when people were coming for me about the Janel Grant thing, saying, what do you think your friend, your best friend, Ashley would say? She would say, I'm glad you spoke up about Janel Grant. That's what I feel that she would say. And that's all I have to say about Ashley Massaro.
By the way, side note, Ashley did go to my high school. She was younger than me. And, I didn't really know her, but I have former teachers of mine said she was a pretty nice girl, very wonderful girl. So.
Hang on one second. I am so sorry. Hold on. Hold on a second.
No problem.
This is so interesting. All right, anyways. Okay, so yeah, that's all I got to say. And anyways, moving on.
Well, listen, you've done a fantastic job tonight. I want to thank you for coming on. I want you to promote your channel, please. Promote your show. And again, you can catch Shelly with Vampire Radio on the Monte The Pharaoh channel, Shelly Martinez. And I think, Shelly, you're also on Cameo. Are you taking bookings for podcasts?
Yes, it's really simple, everyone. If you want to see what I'm up to or book me for whatever, just go to shellymartinez.net/links. It's all there for you, nice and pretty.
And you better get her before she blows up. I guarantee this is a Monte and a Pharaoh exclusive. She will become untouchable within the next year because she'll be the biggest thing on social media. We covered a lot of good things. Punch the Monkey, Janel Grant, the kid from England, the master and his wife.
The master and his wife and the dude with the accent.
You know the master and his wife are going to make a video right now.
That's fine. Go ahead. Make your money.
On all serious. Shelly, thank you so much. Say hello to your co-host. I'll be watching TMI. I watch it every week. And I love the clips. And nothing for great stuff for everybody in the future. It's my honor to call you a friend. Let me put it that way.
Oh, I appreciate that. And I love coming together and creating with you guys and our growing friendship. It's awesome. I love it.
All right, pal. Jimmy, don't be mad at me. I did not set you up. He's going to think I set him up or something too. That's the other problem that's going to happen. Jimmy, I swear to God, I didn't know what she was doing, and when I heard the voice, I knew exactly what was.
Well, happening. You don't even have the jobber number, so how could you have set it up? You
No,
know?
but Jimmy doesn't know that, right? Jimmy knows that, because whatever. But Jimmy, we love you. Oh, I meant to ask you. So Jimmy's music we usually play in the intro, and then I played that kind of country rock song. Did you like that country rock song? Oh, you like?
I did.
But you like Jimmy's better? Do you think?
They're both different, so I don't know. I had to listen to them again back to back to say which one's better. All right. Well, I love them both.
And don't forget, good fucking vodka's coming, good fucking wine's coming. We got it all coming. All right, Shelly, can you send us out, please?
All right, from Monte and Sans Pharaoh and Shelly from Cali, we'll be smelling all of you nerds later. Adios.
And we're visiting Pharaoh's here after last night's Super ECW tribute show.
Deluxe.
Pharaoh's looking good though as he gets older. He can handle his liquor a little better, right? But we'll be floating around. Hopefully, get to see a few people. We'll be posting these videos. So we'll talk to you soon.
I don't care if they talk shit. I don't talk to hypocrites. If you hate me, that's just fine. Go on down and get in line. They try to tell me what I need, and it sure ain't nothing good for me. Don't care what they say, it's all just talk. Gonna head my way and walk